Fuck yeah! All right, that's all. All right, I was just in a bad mood, but that's all I needed to get put right back into a good mood. I love that intro video so goddamn much.
I know, it gets me gassed.
Erect.
Did you say erect?
I thought you did. That's so weird. I said jacked.
Oh, you said jacked? I said gassed.
Gassed. Gassed means you're tired, so you're ready for a nap. You're like,
no, I meant like fueled up. You know, when you go to the local gassery, and what do they call those gas stations?
Taco Bell. Oh, right, yeah, gas station.
Oh, here we go. All right,
I'm all gassed up.
We started a little early today, man. How's it looking with the people out there?
It's good. Yeah. We've got 5.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah, we're 15 minutes early, but I think we'll still hit the mark. We told everybody it.
Yeah, these are the folks that come in early for the previews. These are my kind of people. Remember going to the movies, guys? Yeah. Well, hey. Hi, everybody, and welcome.
Hey. Hi. How you doing?
Welcome to an AEW Revolution priming. A real, gosh, bless America. Matt, you're going to make fun of I'm bringing my NHL pronunciation to this episode. Ryo Mizunami miming. And I was so excited to talk about her miming this episode. So we got priming. We got miming. We got Cameron Grimes 5 and diming. Man, we got Bobby Lashley shining. All the innings, man, in this episode of the Brothers of Discussion. Yeah. We're going to talk everything from the potential dwindling of our Wednesday Night War segment. Oh, no. The continued rise of the Hurt Business. Oh, God, it just makes my heart all aflutter. Matt, we're going to take a stab at AEW's Hall of Fame level signing. My God, how many Hall of Famers are we going to have? I don't know. We're going to take a guess at who that person could be. And, of course, I want to hear the people and who they think that's going to be.
Yeah, sound off now, by the way. Let's put that out there. Comment who you think it's going to be, and we'll get to it.
I'll try and steal your thunder. No, we want to hear what you have to say, and we'll talk it up. And then, Matt, NXT UK putting in some bids for match of the early bid for match of the year. And then that women's tournament. Oh, mwah, one of our favorite little idioms, the chef's kiss. Mwah. Oh, woo, the finale of that tournament on Wednesday night was glorious. Matt, are you buckled in?
I'm ready to go, and so is Cody. He threw in, it's gotta be Kane. Kane's the big...
They're bringing in the mayor.
Famer coming over. I mean, if you take a look at their track record, it makes sense. Like, it's gonna happen.
I mean,
you know what we should do? We should go back.
Coming up. So maybe Big Show and Kane will kind of, do a classic and eliminate everybody.
So if we go through the timeline... Jericho went from WCW to WWE, and then Big Show, right?
Yeah.
Or was it? So then, who came from WCW to WWE after Big Show? So that is who's coming over to AEW.
Oh man, next. Big Papa Pump, he's coming.
yes, Big Bad Booty Daddy coming out.
Oh man, I can't wait for Big Papa Pump, man.
Nailed it. Oh man, could be maybe it's like Goldberg. No, he was pretty late in that game. Trying to Rey Mysterio? No, he just signed with W. All right, let's do this. Everybody, head on over to bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com to check out everything we've got going on. Mike, our hottest video on the YouTube channel, Matt nailed it, is the 5 things to come from Undisputed Era breaking up. So that's still blown up because they continue to break up week after week, and we'll go over that in the Wednesday Night Wars with Roddy getting his new theme song. That's all right. New attire. It's happening. Cody's got another one, Scott Hall. That it fits the brand, right? Or the idea of what we were talking. It does. I like it. So somebody that went from all right, we'll table that for a second.
We might have to. I don't know. This might take over the show. I want to hear every guess.
The whole show is going to be about who's going to be this special guy. If somebody could do the research while I'm jibber jabbering here and figure out who came after Jericho and Big Show, who came from WCW to WWE, then we'll know. Was it Booker T? Is Booker T coming over, Mike?
Matt, you know who else went from WCW to WWE? Stone Cold Steve Austin. Gonna happen.
Let me create a little banner while we're talking here.
All right.
Oh wait, I want to use that one. What's one we don't use? Here we go. All right. So what was I saying? It's Brothers of Discussion on the YouTube channel, at BOD Podcast on Twitter, brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. Find all that garbage there. All right. Send us your
AEW
guesses.
Hall of Fame signings.
AEW Hall. I'm such a slow typer. Here we go. Boom. All right. Scroll across the bottom, save, and show. All right. Send us your guesses on the AEW Hall. All right. I'll show. Let's go over these, Mike. I said that we would score them 1 to 10. 1 to 10 hot dogs. If you remember, this is our way of scoring matches in the same vein that Meltzer does, only in spirit. But of course, there's different ways to score a match with value of hot dogs. For instance, Mike, you could get a score of 16 hot dogs in a match, even though I did just say 1 to 10 boogers. But if you had a score of 16 hot dogs, that is 2 packs. That's 2 packs of ballpark hot dogs. So that feeds you for a couple of weeks. So you got that's a match that you can come back to over the next couple of weeks. You could also freeze a package of those hot dogs, Mike, save them for a year and come back to it. So there's a lot that goes into grading a match by hot dogs. Way more, I think. There's way more fun to be had than just saying, I rate my matches 1 to 5 stars, but I give out 6 stars. I don't know what Meltzer sounds like, to be completely honest. So he sounds like Kermit the Frog. All right.
On this show, he does. Well, we got to do a
transition here.
And then we'll kind of move into some more positive stuff. Well, we had to say goodbye to Jim Crockett Jr. Matt, gonna let you take it away on this one. I know you had a little bit of info for us here.
Yeah, I mean, it was something when this happened. I think if it wasn't for the show Busted Open, like, I wouldn't know a thing. And I have since left as a fan of Busted Open. I really hated Dave LaGreca, so I stopped listening to it. But that's one of the things I can take away from it. Crockett Jr. took over the Jim Crockett Promotions from his father, obviously Jim Crockett Sr., 1973. Served 3 terms as NWA president from 1980 to 1991, and eventually began referring to JCP as the NWA. Among the performers who reached new heights under Crockett were, of course, Nature Boy Ric Flair, fellow Horsemen members Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Barry Windham. Oh, I guess, yeah, we're getting a lot of mentions here for the Four Horsemen this week on this episode. Yep. As well as Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, not Boned, and Harley Race. So obviously you bring that up. We owe a lot to him. It's definitely way earlier than the generation that we fell in love with pro wrestling, and we did. We still love Ric Flair. Obviously, we're huge fans of AEW, so everything that Arn and Tully. I mean, Dusty Rhodes is on that list, so I mean, we've got a couple of Rhodes brothers that we love, and God, I almost said worship. I'm hesitating because worship almost came out of my mouth. So let's reel that back in.
Little
got that
Freudian
word back
there, huh?
Yep. But yeah, I mean, probably the Road Warriors. I think when you think about when you and I were absolutely in love with wrestling as kids, I would probably put the Road Warriors as number 1 on that list. What do you think? Maybe Nate, because we were also watching Nitro.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Road Warriors definitely resonated the most for us. We definitely, connected a lot more with tag teams, and a lot of tag teams in that time period were trying to kind of emulate Mad Max and the Road Warrior. with the padding, kind of the face paint, the attitude, and this is the group that did it the best. So I mean, like Crockett definitely, has a hand in making the best version of somebody who loves Mad Max, and turning them into professional wrestling superstars. But yeah, the other people that you name, they're all legendary. So yeah, I mean, he's one of the great, bookings heads of promotions. Yeah, this is a loss, and we're gonna, thank him for his contributions, and yeah, it's a big part of where we are today. So much appreciation and love and positive thoughts to the Crockett family there,
Right.
for losing Jim.
And I to reiterate why I brought up and the way I brought it up the way I did is just to say, like, I don't want to sit here and lie to people. Like, I recognize what Crockett has meant to me without me ever watching any of the programs that he produced. So that's kind of where I was coming from. So I don't know why I felt the need to say that again, but I always overshare, and that's why Matt.
Yeah, that name is synonymous with
at
professional wrestling. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. So yeah,
right. Sorry, that was gonna be my terrible transition. Moving on, Mike. We had like you said. This is the banner I didn't want to destroy. A match of the year candidate today out of NXT UK. Mike, Kaylee Ray versus Meiko Satomura. If you guys have not watched that match, you're doing yourself a disservice as a pro wrestling fan. I don't know how you got to get it done. If you have the network, go for it. If you're joining Peacock, you're gonna have to wait for Peacock to get all set up. But Mike, figure out your way to watch it, because that match is how do you say this? Can you say unmissable? Is that it's can't miss.
Let me confer. Yes, it is. We'll accept that.
Right.
Yes.
So the producers are good with that one?
Producers and the judges both came in. We will allow it. Yes.
All right, perfect. Mike, do I have the privilege of telling you about it, or do we get to discuss it?
It was pretty beautifw, Matt.
Okay, good.
There was a lot of stiff competition this week, because I was really enamored with what AEW put on for their women's division. But by God, there we were on a Thursday afternoon, watching NXT UK just casually put up another can't miss, unmissable. We're gonna go with unmissable on that one.
Okay, we're good with that. Yep, run it again.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the violence, the competitiveness, those you can laugh at my hockey pronunciation here, the Gori bomb, but it's such an asset to think that Satomura looks like she's going to be working a little bit more behind the scenes to kind of help train, kind of help coach. But for one of her first big introductions in NXT UK, her job was to make the champion look like a god at god level, and she definitely achieved that. So Kaylee Ray is probably just somewhere just shaking her head like, man, I can't believe what I just did. I can't believe I got to have that match. And I'm, it's almost like, I won't say almost, it's like doing a match with the Undertaker, and the Undertaker takes care of you, makes you just look outstanding in the ring. And Satomura absolutely did that for the NXT UK Women's Champion.
Yeah, we're at 550 plus days with Kaylee Ray, and part of the asterisk that goes along with that on the Wikipedia page is that it's kind of up in the air what NXT UK is. What do we want to say? Is representing as like her first day. There's also tape days that could get in there involved. So there's TV days, tape days. So how long is the actual reign? That's where the 550 plus is coming into play. But Mike, you are talking 550 plus days. You look at Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm, you have 44 days and 230 days. Mike, she's right now the longest reigning WWE under that umbrella champion. And of course, I mean, there's so many major brands out there that you would say that she is the longest reigning champ over them. So this is something that if you weren't familiar with Kaylee Ray, and you're just now noticing it because, of course, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Sorry, Meiko, wrestled her today. I mean, this is it. We talk about all the time, the signature win. We just defined Kaylee Ray that not only does this long reigning this championship reign is going to go into the record books, but now we're legitimizing her as that pro wrestling talent. There wasn't any cheating. This was a straight up win over one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Now we're not calling Kaylee Ray the greatest of all time. What we're saying here is that this is going to help push her story into, like, you want to build your champions like Kaylee Ray with these long reigns into like legendary status somehow. Or I shouldn't say for everyone, but that would be, kind of, I think probably a cross your fingers and hope with every champion you have as you try to weigh how do the fans react to this? Where's her talent level? Where's his or her talent level? Can they speak on the mic, which we know Kaylee Ray can? So she could work, she could speak. Yeah. Everybody's on board with her now. So give her the long reign, and this is where you give her that signature win. This is where, Drew McIntyre, if you really wanted him to go into legendary status, which I'm not saying he's not, one day can't get there, he would have pinned The Miz at Elimination Chamber, and he would have gone into WrestleMania setting up a full year of holding the title. With this reign, we'll pull back a little bit on Drew. And we're going to talk about in a second where that's all going. But I don't know how the folks feel about it who's listening, but that's where my head's at. They've just basically said Kaylee Ray is moving into legendary status, or we're trying our hardest to get her there, because if this title reign ends shortly after this, that would completely blow my mind. I think that she's holding on to this for as long as possible.
Yeah. If we want to put a pin, just put the punctuation at the end of this one. As far as Meiko, like the credit that they're giving her right now, what an ordeal is, for Kevin Owens to get the Stone Cold Stunner. Right, like he had to get the blessing from Steve Austin. Obviously, CM Punk in the near past billed himself as the best in the world. Sold T-shirts with it, and then Shane McMahon kind of came in tongue in cheek and billed himself as best in the world. With Greg Hamilton with doing the over the top entrance, and for Meiko to come out and basically 2 matches into her UK presence to be billed as best in the world. And nobody, second guessed it or anything like that. I think that's a real credit, tribute, to all the hard work she's done over her career, and pretty cool that she got that moniker from WWE, who's so staunchly wants to cling to little like phrases and titles like that. So definitely a big rub for Kaylee Ray to topple the best in the world. So it's my final thought on that one.
And I do want to challenge everybody, if you haven't watched it yet. The Gori bombs were perfect tonight. The reverse Gori bomb into a power bomb by Meiko Satomura was probably my favorite move, and the move that really got me like on the edge of my seat was this cartwheel into a spinning leg drop from Meiko. I just I don't always take notes, Mike, as you know, when I watch wrestling matches, but I was like, holy crap. How do you that's it right there. That's how I'm saying, like,
listen to you, man. You sound like Excalibur over there calling some play-by-play. That wasn't any Michael Cole. Look at this maneuver. Look at this move. My God, what a move.
That's usually what I say.
Transition into the Gori bomb, into the power bomb. I love it, man. That moves us into our next little wrestling nuggie here. It might be just a short bullet point here, but hopefully it's not true. But the little birds, if you will, are starting to get out, and they're all aflutter that this might be the end of the Wednesday Night Wars. Matt, heartbreaking stuff. I think we like doing our segment, but for us, trying to talk with the internet wrestling community, it will make for a much easier dual presentation for the two of us to talk about each show. instead of what we do now, where you kind of have a specialist for each one.
I feel like there's people that are like, wait a minute, how are they watching both sons of bitches? All right, go ahead.
This coverage is seamless. I don't understand how they do it.
Literally, like right on top of each other, we have tweets about whoa, best match of the night. Go ahead.
That's a lot of tweets. Man, it feels like this is overdue. As unfortunate as it's going to be for our significant others to add yet another night of wrestling, because the rumor is NXT is going to move to Tuesdays. I gotta think that WWE has just been getting shellacked in the viewership. I think they've maybe won a week or two, but AEW's just getting stronger, kind of building more momentum, starting to get more cross promoting. With promotions from all over the world coming to wrestle on TNT. This, for me, I don't know. I'm not gonna gloat. I wouldn't gloat if I was AEW, because honestly, what's happening is the people who are watching All Elite Wrestling on TNT on a Wednesday night are probably the exact same people who are going to watch NXT on a Tuesday night on USA. So I know the AEW's been winning the ratings war, but I got to think once the shows are on separate nights, I would be pretty stunned if we didn't have almost identical viewership on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Matt, do you agree with that point or no?
I think if these guys were finally going to break the 1 million viewer mark, this is what's going to do it. I mean, you see people throwing shade that ShaQ couldn't get AEW into the 1 million. First of all, folks, shut the fuck up. Who gives a flying fuck? But for these businesses, like as a fan, it's there. It's on TV. They have they're not going away. They're still like the top rated shows on those channels. So you don't have to go, oh, if the viewership goes down, my wrestling's gonna. No, it's fine. They're like the top rated shows on that channel. They're not going to say, oh, I hate all these viewers. No, it's not happening. It's fine. Stop.
That brand loyalty for wrestling promotions is insane to me. Like, I've never seen somebody like chowing down on a Whopper and being like, eating a Big Mac? my sandwich is ketchup and mayonnaise. What are you eating, Thousand Island? Like, I've never seen that before. That's the kind of just vitriol that the two like opposing bases have for each other. They both sign old people. They both have non-wrestlers wrestle. They both have people in the mid-card that you'd like to see at the top of the card. They both could do more for minorities and women in wrestling. It's the same shit on different channels. It's just, some of the, you might like some of the characters particularly more than the other, but I don't understand the brand, like the fierce brand loyalty.
Yeah, like, what's funny is it's our brand, right? Like, our brand is like, make fun of both of these because neither one is perfect. So all we're doing is hoping that people fall under our brand, which is hate them both and have fun.
Yeah. I would definitely take the comedian approach from Watchmen. I mean, it's all a joke. It's okay. We love both. We get mad at both. I might watch one more than the other if it's giving me more entertainment value, but I don't care about a corporate entity. I know what they're doing. We've talked about this ad nauseum, Matt, where it's a circus. And some people in the circus like to watch luchador wrestling. Some of them, want to watch a song and dance, with Jericho and MJF. Sometimes you just want to watch, 5-star, work rate matches with, Undisputed Era and Finn Balor. And sometimes you want big, meaty men slapping meat. All those things are on the table. It's okay. I don't understand.
Amy's checking in. Amy, how are you doing? Love you.
Amy, you sweet angel. How are you?
Brand loyalty is for the brain dead. You know what? I'm for some people it might hurt you to hear that, but that's essentially what's going on. Is it's all PR, it's all marketing and trying to tell you how to think. So just listen to us. We're gonna tell you the right way to watch pro. No, I'm kidding.
We're not making any money. Yeah.
I did. As we said, we want to hit on these throughout the show. Cody threw out another one. I'm
Sid? Are you saying Psycho Sid? Oh no!
I got half the brain that you do.
That poor guy. We're live, buddy. He's just infamous.
Yes. No, I think if it was Big Papa Pump or Sid, I think that is the home run I need from AEW this Sunday. That's
Sid. I'd be like, fuck this.
What if it's both of them? No, it's both of them. They're gonna start a tag team.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That would be wonderful.
Also, Amy,
Cody.
Yeah. Also, Amy, we got to hear some more of your guesses of the Hall of Fame signing that AEW has planned for this Sunday's $60 pay-per-view. You don't want to miss that.
Amy threw out the perfect guess, obviously.
Oh,
Mr. CM Punk. Amy knows what's up.
You know what? You don't want to be the person who says CM Punk, but when somebody else says it, you're like, that's a good idea.
No, we know you were kidding, Amy. I do want to.
Wait a minute. I thought it was a good idea. What are you doing over here, man? Come on. He still got it. A little go to sleep action, go against Kenta, and a go to sleep match. Oh man.
My favorite thing to happen today on Twitter, number one was CM Punk did a Q&A on Twitter, and he said, send me your questions. It was like hashtag Ask Punk or something like that. And then, to like his sign off, instead of saying like, Phil or something like that, he said, it's not me, period. Like, kind of like, all right, people, I'm not doing this. It's not me. But the other one was Batista last night. Everybody was tagging him as the supposed Hall of Famer. And he tweeted out, like, this business needs to figure out what retired means or come up with a different word. And then it was just like, I think he put like shaking my head or something like that. Like, it's just, people are so crazy with this stuff. I saw both of those from comicbook.com, and I was like, okay, they need a new writer. I'll send them my resume and they can have actual wrestling takes on their show.
Their numbers would tank. Matt, all I want is clickbait. CM Punk versus Batista confirmed for AEW Revolution. We finished there with the potential end of the Wednesday Night Wars. Matt, as far as like a signing goes, I'm gonna jump to this point real quick. We're gonna come back to yours. But so we have this Shaquille O'Neal appeared on AEW, and I wanted to talk about it just in our nuggies because by God, he did not embarrass himself. And I feel like we're getting spoiled with non-wrestler celebrities parachuting in and not, setting the world on fire necessarily, but, doing a pretty serviceable job. I think when Pat McAfee had less than a negative, 10 hot dogs match against Adam Cole, and it was actually not just watchable, but rewatchable. We were all kind of stunned, just trying to figure out, my God, what is going on? Bad Bunny came out and didn't embarrass himself on a splash. And then Shaquille O'Neal, into his late 40s. He's got that old 380-pound, 7-foot body that's been taking a bruising. The guy's had so many knee surgeries in the NBA, missed, years of his career. Where he would not play the whole regular season and then try to just, duct tape it back together, Stone Cold style for the playoffs. Took a wrestling bump off the apron through a table for everybody's delight. And then he corpsed for the last 3 minutes of that match while Jade and Red Velvet went at it in the ring for the finish. But Matt, I gotta ask you. Because ShaQ, I think he did a really good job. I'm going to ask, because it's too hard to rank them because there's too many. So I'm just going to ask you, like, when you think about a celebrity coming in, kind of who comes to mind? What do you kind of expect from this person? And what's up with this new precedent in recent history where these guys are not embarrassing themselves. So who comes to mind when you see a celebrity entering the fray?
Who comes? Wait, that was so many questions. Who comes to mind as like a celebrity that would be good at wrestling or bad at wrestling?
Like I guess like this whole experience. I wouldn't have, yeah, there's kind of a delay. I don't know if you missed it there, but yeah,
I mean, there's a delay between our conversation.
Yeah,
like this is gonna get so confusing.
ShaQ didn't embarrass himself, and I mean, you can go back to what was it, WrestleMania 1 or 2 when Mr. T came out. I mean, what do you kind of think of that new relationship that WWE is having with their celebrities, or wrestling in general? We'll say that.
Yeah, wrestling in general, right? I mean, I think we're pretty happy with what we got from Pat McAfee. I mean, there were those conversations when like Hugh Jackman was around. Like he loved pro wrestling. He's friends with The Rock, and I think he actually wanted to be a part of it. And I think like insurance gets in the way because those actors have to be insured to make sure that their faces stay pretty and that whatever they're doing for future films. You get like Hugh Jackman signing like a 20-year deal with 20th Century Fox to be Wolverine, and he's got to stay alive. So he can't get any injuries. We see The Rock comes back for WrestleMania, and he has all those problems with his tum-tum. So I think the change is that we're seeing athletes who don't need to look good, right? They can get messed up. I think that's part of their brand. Is Pat McAfee is already an ugly, mother effer. ShaQ's not ugly, but like if he got messed up, I think it would add to his character on TNT. Like I'm just saying, like TNT's not going to go. Whoa, you're not talking basketball anymore. Look at that face, man. You got all messed up. You're done. So if they can stay in that realm, I think they'll do good. Like, stay away from the stunt guys. I think we've all seen the tales of Steve-O getting the shit kicked out of him by Umaga because he was supposed to stay down, and Steve-O didn't know that, so he kept trying to stand up. So stay away from the stunt guys. But athletes, I think, get it. I mean, we've seen them all hold like championship belts when they win that look like WWE titles. So they get it. I mean, ShaQ too. Like, we know he loves pro wrestling because if you go to like his Instagram, I think the first thing is actually him hanging out with Drew McIntyre. So, or it's in there. I think it's updated since, but some people are giving him a hard time that he hasn't shared anything on his Instagram about AEW, but he had Drew McIntyre on his Instagram. Okay. Anyway, back to brand loyalty. Anyway, yeah. I mean, you see where I'm coming from, though, right? Like, it's we start to get closer to having athletes kind of take over that idea of having a celebrity come in, and I think there's enough humans right now on social media that you don't need Tom Cruise, even though he's globally a legend, but you can still have 1 million people retweet whatever ShaQ does, so that still does good marketing work. Yeah,
I mean,
Amy's throwing out there she likes the Hugh Jackman, and then Tom Brady is all elite.
That I would love to see. I think I would enjoy that more than whatever WWE is trying to do with Rob Gronkowski. That was really cringeworthy. Yeah, I just thought I was impressed with ShaQ. I didn't ask him to do too much, but he didn't look out of place. I don't think he was at quite the Pat McAfee and David Arquette level. But, he's kind of at like the Karl Malone level. Karl did pretty good with DDP against, Rodman. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun segment. It opened the show. It wasn't the main event. And most importantly, it got the men out of the match and let Jade and Red Velvet cook, get that match closed out. But The other thing, Matt, because I know we want to move into Tony Khan, we want to talk about Wednesday Night Wars, got to talk AEW Revolution, is just the monumental victory. Bobby Lashley wins his first WWE championship. This is really exciting news. There's probably better ways to do it. I think a lot of us wanted to see Bobby get his big moment, on a pay-per-view. I don't know if, WrestleMania, I don't think anyone would have complained to see Bobby get his moment there, but definitely kind of a bummer. He didn't get to have the crowd, much like McIntyre. But Matt, where do you see this reign going? Do you see him kind of running the show on Raw for the foreseeable future?
I think that's what you and I both want. I think whatever Bobby has going on, I think it's going to turn into a storyline that's going to end his reign, but keep him in the main event picture after WrestleMania. It is something too, like you see those long reigns recently, and it's been Kofi and Drew McIntyre are the longest ones. I guess Roman is actually, you know what? I was going to say, you see the faces holding on to the title, but Roman's going to hold on to his forever. So that doesn't really make sense. But that's the thing, is that I expect WWE to do that, but I would absolutely be fine. Like, the Hurt Business has been our favorite faction, I think, of the last couple of years. Tossing everything together. This is probably the best faction of wrestlers since, should we say, like the Shield? Or no, because Undisputed Era is up there too. So it's like Hurt Business, Undisputed Era, maybe then the Shield, and somewhere you got to fit in Bullet Club, even though like we recognize it as huge, but you and I have never really been huge New Japan fans. So those are all mixed in there. I think Hurt Business is at that level, especially with MVP at the helm, like doing all the talking. It's a perfect combination of dudes, and I think that they could roll. They could go as long as they want, and I think if there was one change to the Hurt Business, is I would help Bianca Belair tell her story. That would be my one addition. I think she would fit perfectly with that. I think she has a great attitude to fit in with those guys. And we know what MVP is all about in this. We know what the start of this faction was to make sure that he was doing the work to ensure that black athletes were getting the right amount of TV time that they should. And then all of a sudden, Mike, the Hurt Business has like 10 segments every show. So I like this idea that he's going to take the black athletes that WWE has not done a good enough job in supporting and put them on a higher pedestal. So I throw that caveat in there in case anybody was going, oh, he's just picking Bianca Belair because she's black. I mean, that's what MVP's goal was. That's what he's trying to do, is make sure that the guys who are good enough to be on TV are represented properly. And I think that's what we're fans of, too.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Paul Heyman kind of take some folks like the Beast, who, are not that skilled on the microphone, and, elevate them to world beaters who got to annihilate John Cena in a 10 to 15 minute squash. Cody loved that idea. Titus getting the Hurt Business rub. I love that. But yeah, it's MVP saw this missed opportunity. Where people weren't noticing something that was special, and it's literally been employed by WWE twice. Where these guys were, the hot young thing, and then they never really got the rocket strapped to their back. They got re-signed, and MVP just made it his goddamn mission to get over Bobby, to get over the gold standard, to help Cedric, and please recruit Ricochet. I'm so tired of watching that guy get annihilated every week at the behest of whichever heel they wanted to get a push to. Ricky O'Shea, please, if there's applications, fill one out.
It would just be so funny to hear the conversations in the back where MVP is, sending everybody to the moon, and WWE is like, whoa, we can't. Hey, hang on, wait a minute, slow down there, MVP. Everybody can't. You can't strap everybody to a rocket and send them to the moon. Just hold on. But MVP's probably back there making that claim or doing something to, he wants this faction to be huge, and he should. It could be humongous. I think the Hurt Business could absolutely run this company. And so far it is. So far we're doing good, but it could do more. And
yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't a lot of factions right now that are both genders. Retribution with Reckoning. If you want to say the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny, I guess. But yeah, this would be a great spot for maybe Reckoning to, maybe get some wins and jump ship over to the Hurt Business. Same with Bianca Belair, but yeah, she's just doing so much good work on her own. They'll probably let her kind of see where she can take herself before having her aligned with the Magic Maker, MVP. But let's do this, Matt. Tony Khan really, he just ignited Twitter. He ignited, all the disgusting Reddit threads. He had Paul White come out there in his brand spanking new No BS t-shirt for No More Big Show. And Paul White got to come out, look at a smiling Tony Schiavone. Tony was beaming. He was so excited to be talking with, my God, it's the Giant. He looked so excited to be looking up to one of his buddies from WCW. And Paul White announced that a Hall of Fame level signing is coming on Sunday at Revolution. And he also warned it's not who you think. So, Matt, I just was going to pose 3 questions to you. I was going to say your most realistic signing, the most fantastic signing, and then, just something that, it's not that it would be a bad signing, but it's not one that, would maybe, wet the old noodle, as we like to say on this show, a noodle wetting signing. So, Matt, what would be your you'd have a dry noodle if you found out you paid $60 to find out fill in the blank was the newest member of the roster?
Well, quick shout outs here. Wrestling Plugs here, snack cakes and wrestling. That's what we do best. Thanks for Wrestling Plug, who knows us so well. And Greg is actually doing some research for us. I can't, it's so big. So that's what Greg typed up. Let me hide that. I'll read it here. He did throw out there, Jericho signs with WWE in June 99, debuted August 9th, 99. And then he throws in this wonderful fact. He said it's a fun fact, but it's a beautiful fact. I can't find a good enough word. March 26, 2001, Jericho portrayed Doink to perform an ambush on William Regal. It's just a heartwarming fact. It's so okay. Mike, Tony Khan, Paul White announced. Okay, most realistic. Ready? I'm going to go most realistic, most disappointing, and then most fantastic. I think that's a better way to sell this. Mike, most realistic. Now, you could say anybody's a future Hall of Famer. You're just building up the guy before he's even here. So I think some people might roll their eyes. I think we know that he did some good work with Bobby Lashley. So I've told half the story here. Obviously, Mike, after throwing in Bobby Lashley. I'm talking about Lio Rush. I think most realistic. I'm putting him in there as... I think it's somebody that's exciting. It's the difference between, like you said, I think my most disappointing is also realistic, but I think Lio Rush is actually fun compared to who my most disappointing is, which would be Ethan Page. And a lot of people have been throwing out Ethan. He's fine. It's just something for me that I wouldn't say I've never been like a fan of his work because we see his stuff popping up all the time. We've never made a point to watch the show that he's currently on. So I can say that, and that's probably why it's pretty tough for me to make a connection of like excitement with his name. But I just think there's so many different options out there that would be fun. So for it to actually be Ethan Page and everybody, like, that's probably the most realistic. But I'm putting him as most disappointing because while I think there's other realistic options, he's probably the biggest fart in the wind for me. Like, I'm just going to go, okay, But it's for the Twitter Reddit wrestling fan that never turns off pro wrestling. It's not for me. That's probably where that lies. Now, most fantastic, Mike? Most fantastic is Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. Oof. Coming in. Boom. That is your most fantastic pickup for AEW. I think that would be awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I would really like to see that happen.
We got some more picks, by the way, too. I'll just flash them up here.
Oh, Cody dropping a Shockmaster on us. Cody, you rascal. Get out of here with that Shockmaster stuff. What are you doing? I'm going to say it's not that it's disappointing. It's just the way that Paul White kind of alluded to it. It sounded like this is somebody who might actually wrestle and not, like Paul is going to take on a commentary role for the most part, and he might do like a Sting match, right, where he's not the focal point. It'll be a street fight, so it's technically less risky than an actual wrestling match, and that's where I might say that disappointing it. And only I love him. I know what his limits are at this point of his career and what his body's going to let him do, and it sounds like a spot where Mick Foley would want to come in. You would get to have one of the great, my God, hardcore legends of all time, weighing in, being a voice, in the locker room, coaching, promoting. And he's definitely a guy who right now feels like he's straddling the fence and just, cheering on wrestling, in any capacity, in his social media account. So I would say that is, one of them that, just because I know he's not going to wrestle, that I could see. For me, most realistic, he's been putting out a lot of content of him looking ripped, shredded. Matt, when they say Hall of Famer, for me, that doesn't scream that this is going to be a guy in his 20s or 30s. It screams a guy who's in his 40s and maybe 50. And Matt, that's where I'm throwing in. Oh no, it's gonna be Kurt Angle. Oh no. And I love Kurt. We saw what he did when he went to Impact, and when he tried to wrestle in his return to WWE, he just couldn't turn his neck. But by God, the enthusiasm that guy has for the business is unparalleled. And man, I gotta say the most fantastic, and it's only because I did a little digging, and technically his contract lets him travel. Technically, it lets him travel. He signed. He said he wanted a lifetime deal with this one promotion, but the contract says he can travel. Matt, if we are going to keep going all in with Kenny Omega, I would love to see Kota Ibushi make his way into AEW. That would give. I love Aleister Black. This would give me a mega popski. To see what this guy, to let him start cooking on AEW, getting him every week on TNT, and really let maybe a demographic that hasn't watched a lot of Japanese wrestling just have their minds blown by the athleticism that is Kota. So he did commit his loyalty to staying in Japan, but his contract allows him to travel. It's a possibility, but we know he's got some pretty deep friendships, with the elite for sure.
And I think too, like the relationship with Kenny Omega, like of only Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, like that would be something where I know they want to work together again. So
for sure.
I mean, there's fan art that's probably, a little less than, I guess the less than G-rated sounds like it's for babies, but it's the other way. It's just, it's not, it's not, we're not going to post it right now because we're going to get kicked off YouTube. All right, Mike, quick mention, if you guys haven't watched it yet, one of the things you mentioned earlier was just that there's so much wrestling out there. There's something for everybody. So if you guys want to see one of those titans clashing, like two giants going at it, I just want to, we're talking about Monday Night Raw, right? So who's not hearing about what's going on Monday Night Raw? But make sure you guys check out McIntyre and Sheamus. I'm putting it that way because there's probably a better conversation about, is this the end of their rivalry or not? But we got to move on. So it is time. Mike, before we do, match card for Revolution. Let us jump into the Wednesday Night Wars from August 1920.
All right. I'm going to give you the victory this week.
Still got to update that video.
I loved AEW. Loved it. Except the main event, I was kind of like, oh, this made it? Well, okay. So what we're going to try to do is, try and keep these within, 90 seconds, 2 minutes for each contender, 1, 2, 3. I guess here we go. Moment number 3 for All Elite Wrestling. It was FTR and Tully effing Blanchard against Jurassic Express. Tully was out there in the most glorious Ernie McCracken gear you've ever seen in your life. I'm pretty sure he had a bag of his morning coffee in the back seat of his car. But I really wish they had the big comb over for Tully to let him really, as he starts hitting a little offense, get the wiggle going, wiggle the hips. They protected him, obviously. FTR just put on a highly entertaining match. The Luchasaurus got to give Tully a tail whip kick. Excalibur fell out of his chair on that one. It was a pretty amazing spot. And the right team got over it because we're still trying to push FTR to the top. The Jurassic Express, I like them in the chase. I don't need them to win this match. Matt, we got to see Tully in all his glory come out in the red. And Matt, we got a return. My God, who doesn't love a good return in wrestling? Shawn Spears, still employed. I know he's been out there doing his flatback wrestling school, but I miss that guy. I want to see him wrestle some more. And he got to come in, give Tully the assist, and it looks like we might be getting a new Four Horsemen. I don't know, Matt. We had Arn Anderson came out and literally rubbed his chin like, I see. Maybe I'll get out there and join the other old fellers and get the horses together.
Look, Shawn needs that. We don't usually go back and forth, but I took the time to make sure I watched all of Dynamite this week. To me, when it was Shawn Spears, I'm sorry. He needs this Four Horsemen tag to his name, because that was totally Ethan Page coming out as the Hall of Famer on this Sunday at Revolution. I was just like, okay, cool.
I want him to make it. I'll never forget, on a 10 count for the referee, somebody outside the ring and everybody going 10, 10, 10. I wanted him to get over. Matt, moment number 3 of next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got?
All right, Mike, here's the thing. People might have rolled their eyes when they heard you say that NXT won, but this was moment number 3, Mike. And that's how juicy this night was. Finn Balor, Roddy Strong going at it. Balor wins by pinfall. Mike, this match was fantastic, and it had me thinking, I got some pushback on Twitter, but the thought I had after watching this and seeing how amazing Roddy is with the suplexes, the pure strikes, he's just all over the place. We know his voice isn't super great for promos because it's a little nasally, a little whiny, which just, again, we come back to casting all the time. Like, can you really cast this guy? Is he really going to beat up Drew McIntyre? Bobby Lashley?
Yeah.
Anyways, it had me thinking that the Undisputed Era might have been underutilized this whole time, where they focused a lot on tag team wrestling, which is good for the tag team division in NXT. Right. But Adam Cole, Roddy Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, all could have been fighting for the NXT championship for the last 3 or 4 years, however long this has been around. And we didn't get that. And now this kind of looks like it's coming to an end. And what happens next for Roddy? Just a little tidbit to think about as we move on. Mike, to number 2 with AEW.
Matt, we touched on it earlier in the show, but my God, Shaquille O'Neal did not embarrass himself. I think he's actually put in the work to look good in the ring. No, we weren't asking him to have a Pat McAfee match, but he ate bumps for Cody. It looked great. And most importantly, the one thing that we give AEW a lot of grief for, and I'm going to give them some grief here when I get to my moment number one, was the way they treat the women's division. People are like, well, they don't know how to wrestle. And it's like, well, they don't get a chance to wrestle. And by God, Jade Cargill and Red Velvet got a chance. I know Jade is green. That's okay. We've seen Roman Reigns be green. Remember when he was green and he was coughing up phlegm in the ring because he was out of shape? That's okay. Let him get in shape. Let us see the progression. Jade got to show off her power moves. She looks fantastic. She's got the swag. She's got the stature. She's going to run this division. Just let her figure it out. Stop making it like she's got to put on, a Pac Omega match in her first viewing on TV. Let's just pump the brakes. She did a fantastic job for what she was asked to do. And Red Velvet, bless her, made Jade, just elevated the performance. So, Cody did his job. I'm going to get this big goof who hosts TNT, NBA talking head chat. And I'm going to mash his 300-pound ass in a wooden table. So he factored him out of the decision. Matt, the women got to stand tall to end this segment. Loved it. Moment number 2 for me. Matt, moment number 2. Next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got?
All right, number 2, Mike, this is where my fandom of these boys comes into play. Mike, this is four of my favorite boys on NXT going at it. You got Danny, Mike.
All right,
you got Birch. You got Oni, and you got Lorcan. All 4 of those guys.
There's the real 4 horsemen for you. All right.
That's right. Mike, they went up against Champion Thatcher. I mean, this was like a dream match for me. This was my NXT tag team dream match. Because I don't think Ciampa and Thatcher are too long. I don't want to say too long for this world. They're both going to die. No, the tag team existence isn't too long for this world. There was a tease at the end of Imperium watching this match go down. And it's why Thatcher and Ciampa lost. And Lorcan and Birch get the win. So, I mean, you got great wrestling, and you've got, they actually did a couple of times where all 4 men were laying down in the ring because they were all swapping finishers and uppercuts and suplexes. And it was great storytelling to say that these guys were just neck and neck. But the Imperium showing up at the top of the entrance ramp, we want to know what's happening. Are they just after the tag titles? Because Lorcan and Birch didn't give 2 shits. They didn't even look up and see Imperium. But Thatcher and Ciampa were the ones that were watching this happen. So for some reason, this really pulled Thatcher away, or like pulled his attention out of the match. So you got to believe that somehow Thatcher and Ciampa are involved with this. But what is that? Like, that's where my intrigue is at. That's where my interest is at. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty interested right now to see like what, because it doesn't mean tag titles involved. It's not like, so this is the thing is I don't want to fantasy book it, but it would be kind of cool to see Imperium and Ciampa and Thatch, somehow, if it's not about championships, are they going to be buddies? Because I'm all for it. All right. Mike, moment number dishonorable mention.
Yeah. Are we calling him Thatch, or are we calling him Timothy? Because something about a pro wrestler named Timothy always makes me giggle. I'm gonna say that dishonorable mention, Matt. It's actually both of our. It's in a twist and a swerve, if you will. The dishonorable mention.
All right, JR.
Women's division. They have an AEW. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm back on track. All right, so the dishonorable mention, Matt. It's both of our significant others. That's right, the mother of your children, Matt, the woman I own a house with. Both of them. You know why? Because they will never show the affection that John Silver showed to Hangman Page. Nobody else will ever know love like John Silver showed to the Hangman. Shame on them. Shame on the rest of you. You should all love as much and as deeply as John Silver does to Hangman Page. Now, moment number 1, Matt, is unquestionably one of my favorite women's matches I've ever seen in my whole life. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm thinking about my whole life right now, and this match made it. It made it into my thoughts. Matt, it was Nyla Rose versus Ryo Mizunami. it was excellent. I confess I don't have a lot of Mizunami matches in my memory archives, and she just blew me away. It was a lot like for me, mixing the shenanigans of with the physical acumen of I just she looks like for me like a Japanese Kevin Owens. Just I could think of Kevin Owens doing his little tease of Enzo Amore, kicking back and forth on the ring apron. And Mizunami kept doing her mime, like she was pulling herself across with an invisible rope. But then she brought out the best Nyla Rose match I've ever seen Nyla put on. Nyla looked so good. I thought, well, I guess she's going to fight Shida at Revolution. Like it was that great a performance. I look at Nyla in a new light. I look at Mizunami in a new light. I'm going to be combing the YouTube archives and whatever I can find to watch more of her matches. I don't know how they did this like 3 weeks in a row with 3 of my favorite women's matches AEW's ever done. And for some reason, they still wouldn't let those matches main event. Stunning booking decisions by the promoters. But Matt, we can't keep this too long. I'm so excited to see Rio and Shida pummel each other on Sunday because they gave us a taste on Wednesday with some really heavy strong style stiff arms that I think Nakamura would definitely bow ahead at for strong style. Matt, dishonorable mention on NXT. There had to be one this week, you son of a gun.
Well, you know how much I love to cheat during this segment of the show. Mike, I mean, if this was called the honorable mentions, I'd obviously throw out LA Knight and getting involved with the Bronson Reed and Cameron Grimes match. And, of course, his promo before. That was wonderful. Mike, The Way in Therapy, maybe not the best segment of all time, had a couple chuckles in there. And Austin Theory, you talk about casting, he's a goofus maloofus, if I may. He really gets those facial reactions. So I'm all about that. But maybe my least favorite thing of the night was Ember Moon and Aaliyah going at it. Just not for me. Not fun. I'd rather Ember Moon was doing something better. All right. So that brings me to moment number 1. Mike, this is moment number 1 because this is what the Women's Tag Team Championships is supposed to feel and look like. It looked like an actual wrestling match. All 4 competitors actually want to win, and there's some story and intrigue mixed into it with Adam Pearce coming out to screw over the NXT Dusty Classic winners. Like him sort of siding with the main event roster. So there's even this idea that, are they going to get a rematch, which would be pretty nice, only because it didn't really make sense at this point for Shayna and Nia to go down to Dakota Kai and Raquel. So with all that mixed together, you still had a hell of a match, and this whole thing was just about selling Raquel. Like, she is the beast of the NXT women's division, and she could take down Nia, she could take down Shayna. Like, this is her just being dominant. It was Dakota Kai getting beat up until she could finally tag in Raquel. But yeah, it just turns out at the end of the match, Raquel accidentally hits the ref. Adam Pearce runs out with another ref while Shayna's got the Kurafita. What's it called? What's the
Kirifuda clutch
right now?
Kirifuda clutch. Yeah.
Kirifuda. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And she's screaming. Mike, you shared that tweet again today with Shayna screaming. But it was something where Dakota was going to be a loss technically, but Adam Pearce brought out a ref who wasn't actually a ref of the match. So that's where all that came into play. So really, if you think about it, Shayna did legitimately beat Dakota Kai, but yeah, all that mixed together, great story, intrigue. We had the NXT women, there it is. We had the women's tag team titles treated like an actual title, so they actually wanted to win it. All that mixed together. This is an A+. This is the number 1 moment of the night, easily.
Matt, glad they had an A+ show to get kicked on to Tuesdays. All right, let's move to AEW's Revolution is this Sunday. Matt, I'm very excited for this show. Besides Paul White with a new So we're going to have a member of the new cast. We're going to have a new cast to save the show. That's a reference for two people. But in the pre-show, Matt, we're going to get to see Thunder Rosa tag team with Rio. And apparently the storyline there is we really liked what Rio and Thunder Rosa did in their singles match. So now they're friends. They're going to battle Britt Baker and Rebel. Matt, there's no way Thunder Rosa and Rio are losing that match. That's okay. I'm just very excited for that. Matt, we got a full card here. I thought because we're really pressing it for time today. We're already over an hour. We're gonna just try and sprint through some of these and some of the storyline intrigues. The Casino Tag Team Battle Royale. The rules on this one are just so long because tag teams are part of a Royal Rumble essentially. But the tag team's not eliminated until both members of the tag team are out. There's a bunch of goofs who are going to be in this match, but I think there's only one team that we should expect to see on top, and it's a very exciting prospect. They were allowed to have a squash. They were allowed to squash. They were allowed to squash somebody on Wednesday. They've been doing really well, and then the show on Dynamite ended in a schmaz, and these two guys came out and kicked everybody's ass. Matt, Phoenix and Pac, I think, are taking this Royale tournament. Matt, talk me out of it.
The Butcher and the Blade. There we go.
I'm convinced.
Look, I'm gonna confess. This is the match where I couldn't possibly pick someone, and I would be doing a disservice to all the listeners because I have to go. I'm going right now. I'm trying to find the match card so I can see everybody that's in this, and I don't know. I mean, I guess those are the first two faces I recognized on the. I just have a picture. I don't have a match card. Bullshit. But yeah, I couldn't possibly talk you out of it. And like I said, I'd be doing a disservice because I would just be talking out of my ass and have no real. Well, so do you prefer that? Should I?
Yeah, please spread your butt cheeks and talk out of your butt. I think that it's time for Pac to start fighting for some championships. He's too good to be, on the sidelines. I want to start seeing this guy wearing some gold, maybe. This is AEW, so we got another tag team match, and there's more to come. Miro and Kip Sabian against Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. This is one of the few times we're actually watching Miro and Kip tag. I can't believe Miro's going to lose in his pay-per-view debut. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, his promo was pretty nice. I like the mention this past week where he said enough of these games, and honestly, I thought that's what we were doing when Miro left WWE and came to AEW. So I hope this is something where Mike, maybe this was like the most meta storytelling, and he was really for a moment he was playing WWE, Rusev, but now he's finally gonna be Miro. Like, if that is what's going on and the storytelling is just way over my head, bravo. But ultimately, I think that's not what was happening. I think they had some poor decision-making when he walked in, and I think they're now finally going to push him into being Miro / the Rusev we always wanted. So this has to absolutely be a win for Miro.
Yeah, I'm fine watching a funny spot or two from Cassidy. I bought the shirt, but I also bought the Miro shirt because I'm hoping this guy finally gets a main event chance. I think he's overdue for that opportunity. But give me Miro and Kip all day, Matt. Woo! The match that's got me all aflutter. That AEW Women's Championship, baby. Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami, Matt. I'm hoping this isn't an 0 for 2 for Miz's. We saw one Miz go down on Monday. Matt, are we going to see another Miz, fall in the throes of defeat this Sunday? Matt, your thoughts on a double Miz loss?
That's so funny because that was kind of going over my head because I was looking for a photo of Hikaru Shida and Ryo, but so I get it. I think it's better for Shida to win this. I think her hanging on to the title. I don't know what the relationship is here. If Rio
Yes.
is sticking around. So I would just stick with Hikaru Shida. I would say we had a great women's tournament, and no point in building new superstars because Hikaru Shida is the one that needs to continue to be built as the super duper, unstoppable women's champion.
All right, not a bad way to go. I was so sold on this one match. I couldn't believe how good Mizunami was. I was just, I had a big goofy Christmas morning smile on my face because it's like, when you first discovered AC/DC, like, wow, this is something we can experience all the time. And she just put on like the first time you heard AC/DC in your head, like just wow, incredible stuff. But Shida, at some point we need to make sure that there's somebody who runs the show. And if Mizunami is going to go back to Japan, this is just a kind of a cool, little feather in the cap for her to come to AEW, kind of increase that global presence of All Elite Wrestling. And let Shida be on top. I can't hate you for the pick, but man, am I a mark for Mizunami right now. Let's do this next match with the face of the Revolution ladder match. So you eventually get to fight Darby Allin. What? You what?
I said, do you like that? Go ahead.
Man, this delay is killing me. Yeah. So we got Cody Rhodes, Scorpio Sky. We got Penta. We got the Murder Hawk himself, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and Matt, one of your favorite wrestlers of all time, TBA. We'll see who that is. In this match, I got to think it's the Murder Hawk or the TBA. I do not see Cody Rhodes triumphing here. I think he's in a spot to get everybody over. So I'm taking the field over the favorite, Cody Rhodes.
No, I agree with that. I think this is this is maybe where I said disappointing would be Ethan Page. Maybe this is where he fits in. So I just, that's another fart for me, or as Greg put it earlier, a whisper in the wind. I didn't actually get to share that because I was going to come back to it. No, I'm on a different screen. But anyway, good call, Greg, calling it the whisper in the wind. But yeah, I think I'd rather have Murder Hawk go over on this one, especially if it was Ethan Page. And I do agree. I think Cody here is he's supposed to throw us off. He's supposed to make it look like, yeah, he would put on, a great TNT championship match. But I do think he knows what's up, and I think he's going down. So that's my fight against TBA, but I was also going Murder Hawk because he's just been tearing it up the last few weeks. And yeah, you build a guy to look strong like that, he should probably take one of these championships one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, if he's gonna, go to war against Rey Fenix, I feel like there should be some sort of ultimate payoff. Because we know the esteem that the company and we, the fan, hold for Fenix is one of the most creative luchador-style wrestlers, I'm going to say it, of all time. So, yeah, let's do something with that. Let's let Murder Hawk cook, and let's put him in another, David Goliath match against Darby Allin. But, yeah, we got, speaking of Darby Allin, Matt, he's going to tag team with Sting. It's Sting against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. For this match, I don't know if I need a lot out of Sting. For me, I feel like Sting is coming back. He's tag teaming with Darby Allin because he sees something in Darby Allin. For like the hardcore AEW fan is a big mark for the guy, but I don't know if he's quite at the transcendent level, that I think he, could potentially be at because he is so gifted in the ring. Matt, do you see Sting kind of elevating the status of our TNT champion, Darby Allin?
Yeah, and I think that's what this is all about. Now, I could see this going either way. At first, when I saw this on the card, I said, obviously, this is going Sting and Darby Allin, but it could be more about having Sting go down, Darby looking strong, and maybe setting up another TNT Championship match. But I think this is about getting Sting involved, and that's more or less going to help elevate everybody in this match. Because I think if I had to pick out Ricky Starks from a crowd before I see him on an ad like this, it'd be tough for me to do. But if I get to watch him in a match with Sting, like, it is elevating him to be in this match, and especially with the TNT Championship as his other opponent. And I apologize to everybody that's a huge Ricky Starks fan, but I'm sorry, that's the long and short of it, from my opinion. Obviously not the same for Brian Cage. I think he's a super duper star. But I'm just saying, from either end, I think you could make an argument for either of these teams winning. I think the argument for Ricky Starks getting a pin is huge for a guy like me who needs to recognize his face when he walks into him in a crowd. Like, head to the airport, walk into Ricky Starks. Why? Well, because he pinned Sting at AEW Revolution. So that's the type of booking I think Matt needs to move forward. Now, Mike, quick request. We have a list of matches, and you need to go in order so that Matt's picture that comes up next matches what we're going to talk about. So I don't know what we're doing next, but you
right,
start, and I guess I'll
you do the next one, Matt. You do the next one. I know you got a nice slideshow over there. All right, here we go. Matt, we got the Hangman Adam Page versus Matt Hardy in the match I'm looking forward to the least. This is a long card. I'm definitely going to go to the bathroom during this match. And I love what Hangman's doing. He's like, when they keep putting him in these tag team affairs with Hardy, or tag team affairs against Hardy. And it's okay. We get old and long in the tooth, and we just, we're not as athletic as we used to be. And I just think it's really glaring to see kind of where they're at. I don't know if this feud really gets Hangman, any higher past the mid card. So this match does not do a lot for me. I don't see either man really getting ahead in this match. The only thing that can happen is Hangman could get dragged down. And knowing what an important part of this company he is, that cannot happen. Matt, if I was a gambling man, this is the match I would all in. All my chips are going in. Hangman has to win this.
Well, your win isn't going to be that great. You're probably going to be in the negative for how much you need to put down to actually win a buck. Like, this absolutely needs to be Hangman Page. This is something, Mike, when I look at the card and I look at like recent WWE pay-per-views and NXT takeovers, and I go, oh my God, I'm going to be in bed by like 9:30. Yeah. This is the type of match that's going to keep us up till 11, 12 o'clock, and I'm not happy about it, to be completely honest. This is garbage. I don't need to see this. We both know Adam better win this match. It's not even that Adam will. Like, he better goddamn win this match. And this is so, I don't know, this is so far from the point. But, like, come on, Matt. Like, he's got to have a voice in this, too. Like, I don't know. This is just too many matches on this card. I think people will be happier going to bed early than knowing that I'm going to lose to Hangman. Like, I think you're right. The only person that this could help is Matt Hardy getting a win. If it's like, well, we got to give him one more main event push before he hits the bricks. But, I mean, even then, I don't want to see him in a main event push. It should be about giving Hangman the rub. And it's just, he doesn't need the Matt Hardy rub. Matt Hardy doesn't mean what he used to mean anymore. So there's a lot of anger in me analyzing this match. But number one for me, this shouldn't exist because I like going to bed at 9:30. And number two, it's just like, does Matt still have it? I think when I see him running around the ring, hit the ropes, it looks like he's holding a poop in his pants. So I don't need to see that. He really struggles to go from rope to rope.
So he has favored in our show a few times. I don't need to see, man, this is essentially Hangman Page is Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. And Matt Hardy is Franz Nielsen of the Detroit Red Wings. and they're playing basketball. I don't need to see it right now. I don't need to see it. Hangman better win this match, or I'm going to lose it. Goddamn $60. All right.
Oh, I like that. That was pretty good.
Here we go. We got the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks versus Chris Jericho and then motherfucking JF. For me, I have tepid excitement for this match, if only because I get that Jericho and MJF are two of the best storytellers in the whole company. Like, nobody, arguably the world, as far as getting a storyline over with a couple of microphones, right, and maybe a smooth jazz number for them to dance to. But, we talk about wrestling being a circus and, the different acts and tents that you might want to particularly visit. Young Bucks matches, they're not I'm going to go to it, but it's not my favorite. I get that some people love it, and I love those people for loving it. But seeing them go against Jericho and MJF, I don't really have a horse in this race. I'm just rooting for a well done match. The one thing that's going to happen is there's going to be some inner circle people. The Good Brothers are going to interfere. I see a lot of shenanigans in this match. I will be stunned if this is just a standard 2-on-2. But there's not a handful of buffoons running out and putting in their input. This and the Matt Hardy match are the two I'm actually not looking forward to. The rest of the card, I'm drooling over. I can't wait to see some of this stuff. But this match, I don't know. Something about the build, it just hasn't quite struck that chord. I'm hoping the Young Bucks take it as the legitimate tag team of the two teams. Storyline-wise, by the way, if Jericho and MJF take it and then start feuding with the Inner Circle, I can get behind that story. But did we also have to sacrifice the tag team titles to do that?
So here's my thing. After watching the promos from yesterday, it's so funny how, miles beyond the Young Bucks, MJF is, and Jericho, we all know, is legendary on the mic. They sold this for me as I'm going to be disappointed because I want MJF and Jericho so goddamn bad, and they're not going to win it, and I know that. It's just what did MJF said? He thinks he's slick and his hair's not that thick. Nick, that was so great. Referring to Matt and Nick Jackson, but
that receding hairline.
Then they were telling the story about why would they. They were telling the story about why would they beat up the Young Bucks dead, and then the Young Bucks came out and gave this really flat, oh yeah, well that's because our dad taught us to love Jesus, unlike your dad. And I was just kind of all right, let's separate faith from pro wrestling.
You weren't at home just doing a slow clap. You weren't doing a slow clap for Jesus. Dad take you to church? Yeah.
Just slow clap for Jesus. That's what it was. Slow clap for Jesus.
No, Matt, hold on. Hot tag. What if, Matt, the ultimate evangelical Hall of Fame wrestler of all time comes out, Shawn Michaels joins the Young Bucks as their new adoptive dad?
He'd fit. None of them have hair anymore. Or they're all losing it. So
they could be wait. They could be like this. Worked. I'm sorry. I love you.
Oh, beautiful. Mike, you just melted my heart. All right, that's it. I'm going for the Young Bucks. It's just this is obviously set up. And even though we just saw the Young Bucks where, they're going to be bad, just a few months ago, or maybe two Earth seasons ago, or you know what I mean, spring, summer, fall, winter. So they were really pushing these guys as being bad. But now, a couple of weeks later, now they're super good because they're facing MJF and Chris Jericho, and they bring up Faith, and it's just kind of All right, I'm going to go with Satan on this one. So MJF, Chris Jericho all the way, which means I set myself up for disappointment because it most certainly is not going to go that way.
Matt, that means we've made it.
This delay is killing us.
I know. We made it to the main event. Matt, it is Kenny Omega. It is Jon Moxley. Matt, it is the exploding barbed wire death match. JR even said, well, I've never seen one of these before, so. Excalibur and Shivani had to look at each other and like, anyway, we're going to have an exploding death match with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Matt, this match is going to be incredibly violent. It's going to be incredibly entertaining. This is one of the reasons that John left WWE. He loves death matches. He loves punishment. And I think Kenny Omega is... this is our second time inventing a word today. I'm going to say Kenny's he's the gamest. Gamest? Gamest. He is gamest for anything wrestling.
Gamerist.
Gamerist. He's the gamerist. Not to be confused with gamey, which some people can be if they wrestle too much. I'm looking at you, Shane McMahon. A lot of sweat. But Kenny Omega is the gamerist. And I think if he sees John blowing himself up on a stick of dynamite, Omega is definitely going to want his turn with his guts strewn about the ring at the end of this match. I don't care. I don't care who wins. This is just going to be a treat for everybody who loves wrestling, for everybody who loves over-the-top cartoonish violence, and we're going to get a hell of a lot of it. AEW has set a hell of a precedent with some of their, summer stampede matches and Cody Rhodes exploding through things. I think wasn't Moxley's debut. I think he put Kenny Omega through a glass table. This is going to be pretty thrilling stuff. Not for the weak at heart, I imagine. Matt, the winner is going to be Omega, but the emotional winner of my God, what did Jon Moxley do to his body for our entertainment? Matt, this is where that $60 is coming in. This is where the get the $60 firework. We're going to strap Jon Moxley to it. We're going to shoot him to the moon. Man, it's going to happen. Moxley's going to the moon on a firework. Man, are you jacked for this match like I am? Woo!
Yeah, this is everything we want out of pro wrestling. I think this is easily going to be something we come back to at the end of the year. I mean, it's March 4th today, so this is March 7th is when this is going down. We're going to be talking about this for match of the year candidate. This is easily going to be the most fun we have all night, and I say that also because I think after this match, whatever goes down is going to be incredibly important to the rest of Kenny Omega's run, because I do think he's winning. I think the fact that we all know he's winning takes a little bit away from this match, which is why they made it the exploding barbed wire death match, because if it was just a one-on-one, eventually it would feel flat because we all know Kenny's going over. So I think that is going to be explosive, that match, if I may. But whoever the surprise person is that the Big Show or Paul White is saying is coming, I think that's when we get it at the end of this match. And I think that's huge. I think it'll be incredible. And I think the whole night's going to wrap into this thing that, is going to be talked about for the rest of the year. And, Revolution nailed it and was it pay-per-view of the year until the next AEW pay-per-view comes out. But yeah, I think they know how to do a like an MCU, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They don't just give you a good show in the middle. They got to get you hyped for the next one. Where I think one of the issues with WWE is they have, with so many pay-per-views, ended a lot of shows with just like a straight up singles match and the bell goes off and that's it, which is fine. And I think you and I have been upset a couple of times when matches don't just end clean, right? But AEW kind of gets this other angle where they're going to give you that clean finish, but they're also going to tease whatever's going on, and then you can't wait for Wednesday because somebody amazing is going to show up, or we want to see what Ibushi's going to say on Wednesday. Like that's That's what's going to happen. I'm not going that level. Maybe I'm right with Aleister Black, which would be pretty neat because I think that would be a hell of a rivalry. But we'll move on. We spoke our piece about who we think it's going to be, but that's yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That's where my head's at.
I can't wait. And if we don't hang out together, Matt, AEW is getting $120 of Brothers of Discussion money. Woo! All right. Matt, where can the beautiful people find us? Let's ride off into that sunset.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is a hell of a show. This is pretty long. It's going to take forever for me to edit, just to download, probably. Find us at bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. It's at bodpodcast on Twitter and at brothers_of_discussion on, what's that called? Instagram. And please, does us a world of good on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review, please. The review is going to do us a world of wonder. And what else is there? I think that's it. Yep. Check all that stuff out. Oh, right. And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, there's a button underneath Mike. If Mike points down right now, you'll see the subscribe button. If you hit that, you're not going to miss the show. And, of course, when you hit subscribe, turn on those notifications because then it's going to say, hey, Brothers of Discussion are going live. Don't miss it. It's every Thursday night and maybe more. Maybe we'll do a post-Revolution show. Who knows? Maybe I can talk Mike into 15 minutes. But the only way you're going to know is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So get on that, everybody. Make sure we make a ton of money. All right.
Come
on! Look how cute we are. All right. Everybody, thank you for tuning in.